welcome to Osteo Knits. I am Andre. You can find me on Instagram as Osteo Knits or on Ravelry as Osteo Andre. Welcome back or welcome aboard, whichever. I'm happy to have you. Let's talk crafting. This is predominantly a knitting and spinning channel, just general love of fiber and crafting. Yeah. If you've seen any of my previous episodes, you will have seen that I try to focus on a handful of projects every month, hopefully to finish things off and to kind of control the chaos as much as possible. For the month of August, I had 4 focus projects. It's kind of laughable that I say for one of them because I didn't work on it and haven't worked on it in 0 months. But regardless, my 4 focus projects were my new cast on, which was the Mabon Shawl by Lisa Much, a whip, which was the black Bat Blouse, a test knit for Ariana Frasca, another test knit. This was kind of my bonus project. This was the Event Horizon Cowl for the Stitch and Witch, and the one I said is kind of laughable, my book shawl, which honestly I haven't worked on in a while, but whatever. I have finished quite a few things this month, including a cast on that was not in my focus. So let's look at those. So first, my test knit for the Stitch and Witch, the Event Horizon Cowl, is finished. Very interesting and unique design, as with all of the Stitch and Witch's projects. So my main color here is Vancouver by Ancient Arts. My contrast is Amethyst Ink by Yarns from Heaven. I really love how this tonal color pooled on my lace. So this was knit flat in predominantly garter plus these holes. It was then seamed or 3 needle bind off, whichever. Picked up the top, did the ribbing, then picked up here and did the lace. Very fun project. I think it's a great project for those wild skeins of sock yarn that you don't really know what to do with. And the combinations are endless. I almost did a red and blue one, but opted for this. Very, very fun. So this one has been released. You can find the project wherever you get your knitting patterns. Another finished object. I did finish my Mabon Shawl. So here it is. So the one corner looks different from the other. This is not my typical color palette. I don't tend to do neutrals, I think. I think I'm traumatized from a job I had at a local science center here called Dynamic Earth, where we were required to wear earth tones for work. And I think now in my head, I stay away from browns and beiges, but I quite like how this turned out. So the main color here, this brown, is a flake from the Frosted Stitch. Let's go to this end where we can see the others better. This burgundy is from Sticks Yarn. It's called Cabernet All Day. This one here is Nutmeg from the Frosted Stitch. This was an Enchanted Garden prototype from the Frosted Stitch, and this was Cedar Hill Yarns in Straw. And they all came together really well. I like that there's some that meld together a bit more and others have more contrast. And given that my office is still freezing cold, I've been getting quite a lot of use out of it. I've never done a shawl that had this kind of shape. It's sort of a crescent plus these extra tips. And I'm finding that these ends are really nice for keeping it over your shoulders. It doesn't slip and move around. And Lisa Much has so many interesting shawl patterns. Like shawls, if you are a shawl knitter, you know how fun they are. There is perhaps a limit as to how many shawls you actually need, but always such a great way to incorporate interesting knitting techniques and play with colors. Anyways, this was a really quick knit, probably in part because it was out of DK weight. Yeah. My other finished object was not something that was originally on the focus, but because I had finished 2 projects, I had allowed myself another cast on. It is another Lisa Much pattern. This is Burrow, and it is the first time I knit with my own handspun. And I love how it's striped up. I love the marled effect because I had one ply in black and the other changed colors. You can see the thick and thin coming through. Blocking it kind of balanced it out. This was supposed to have a garter ridge, but I ran out of yarn. It's just a little bit smaller than supposed to be. This little kerchief project. Hopefully I'm not going to muffle the microphone here. But I've left my tail on so that I can sew these 2 ends together and wear it as kind of a cowl. But yeah, finally knit up my handspun. Now I need to continue and work through more of it. At least it's a start. Yeah, very fun. Speaking of handspun, should I do that now? Yeah, let's do that now. I have one finished yarn from this past month. Finished spun yarn. Oh, yes. Yes, okay, we're seeing the colors very nicely in here. I've been struggling to photograph this one. So, like my first yarn actually, I have one ply in black and the other ply came from a bat I got from Art by Anna. So the bat is what's bringing that sparkle in there. It also had some teal and some red. I wrote down the yardage. I don't remember what I had in here. I want to say it was somewhere around 400 yards. And it is not quite a sport weight, not quite a DK weight, somewhere in between. So let's say a heavy sport weight. Yeah. I really need to knit this up. I love this color so much. The teal doesn't come out quite as much. The red seems to dominate it, but really, really pleased with how this turned out. I'm of course still spinning. My current project is a kind of a stripy gradient that I'm doing. I finished one ply and now working on the second. Definitely have a growing collection of hand spun yarn. I need to continue knitting through them. Okay. So what have I not mentioned from August? Book shawl, we're not thinking about it because I didn't do anything on it. Other thing was my black bat blouse. So the test for Ariana Frasca. It's not finished. It is, I'm progressing quite well with it. So I am bringing that into September as my whip. So I will take that out. So I have finished the body. I have done the edging on the cutout. I have finished one sleeve. Look at that beautiful balloon sleeve. And I have started the second sleeve. So not too much left to do here. Just like 2/3 of the second sleeve. Yeah. I am so eager to have the finished object. I've been trying it on to gauge how long it should be and all of that, and it fits beautifully, beautifully. And it's just so my vibe. The yarn here is two dye lots, essentially, of a prototype of what became the final Black Bat. I did helical knitting throughout the body and throughout the sleeves. We're getting a bit of patterning on here, but I do find that they melded quite well together. You can't really tell that I'm using two very different dye lots. Absolutely loving this garment. And I anticipate that I should be able to finish this probably in the next week or so. I knit the first sleeve in a week, and second sleeve is always easier, especially if you took notes as to how far to go. Because now I don't have to guess, I don't have to measure it, I don't have to try it on a million times. I know how much I'm doing. So that's my whip. Of course, the Scrappy is still my book shawl. And my new cast on, also in a new bag, very appropriate for the season. This bag is from Amelia Joy on Etsy. It's actually Amelia X Joy. She's got all kinds of bags. I got a handle on this one, and it's even got a little pocket in there. So this is holding my new cast on, which I did start. I'm knitting the Samhain Eve Mittens. And it's got a really fun cable design. It also has baubles. This is a little bright. Let's tone that down. There we go. So I have done a little bit more than one repeat, I think, of the cable design. I'm doing the long version of the mitts, so after the next repeat, I'll be starting the increases on the gusset for the thumb. I'm using leftovers of, you can see the back here, the colorway a bit better. This is a Frosted Stitch Indiana Jones colorway. It was the June colorway from 2 years ago, her monthly club. It was Mr. Stitch at the drive-in. So that year I knit socks with every one of her monthly colorways, and I have quite a lot of leftovers. So I thought that this would be a great project to use up the leftovers. I am likely going to make 2 pairs. So I think I'll make my second pair using another Mr. Stitch drive-in colorway, which is Jumanji. So similar kind of earthy tone colorways. I think in contrast to, I've had quite a few Brainless projects where there's not a lot of complicated stitches or whatnot. I guess especially right now where I am on that sweater, it's just straight stockinette because they're balloon sleeves. So I keep going and going and going until the end where knit two together for quite a lot of the circumference, and then I have the ribbing. It's nice to have something a little more complicated for a change, and I love cables. Every time I do cables, I just enjoy it so much, and it's like afterwards I forget how much I love cables. Cables are just so magical. Like, they're not that complicated. You're just knitting stitches in a different order, but it has such a stunning effect. Yeah. So having a lot of fun with that. And that is what I'm working on in September. Since I will be finishing the black bat soon, I should be able to resume one of my long languishing whips. I haven't decided which one yet. So we'll see what I'm in the mood for at that point. Spinning is still going strong. I have a little bit in terms of acquisitions. One thing I don't have with me, Art by Anna, which I mentioned, her bat, and also that black fiber in this also came from her. She had these mystery boxes of fiber, so this black was part of that, and I have a ton of really interesting fiber to play around with from that box. So that's fiber that came into my life. In terms of yarn, not too much, 3 skeins. Of course, I have my monthly yarn from the Frosted Stitches Botanical Gardens collection. So here we've got a nice bright fall-ish color for September. This is Forever Susan Lily. I really like this sort of burgundy-ish purple and a bright orange. This is very different from the others from that collection. Next month is Black Bat in her collection, so you've got a hint as to what that'll look like from my sweater, but it is a little bit different. And this month I could not resist the Floof Fiber Spooky Yarn Club. This month's theme was demons, and oh my god. I love this color so much. I immediately told Lucy, I don't know what it is. I've had this image of like a light blue with kind of a grayish black for a long time, and this is the realization of that image I've had in my head. So I'm very excited to have this. I think I might see if I can get some more from Lucy and maybe make like a tank, maybe another tonight top, because I really love these colors. There's also little pink flecks in there, but this combo of the light blue and the gray black, I don't know, it does something for me. So those are all my acquisitions. Finished a lot of stuff, which is really nice. Actually knit my handspun, and still adding handspun to the collection. The spin I'm doing right now, I'm actually doing with a project in mind. I would like to make a Alaska hat. So that one uses color work. So it's kind of like a forest scene in a contrast color, and the background is usually in sort of a gradient fade. So I'm hoping that my spun yarn can serve as that gradient fade. I'm using yellow, orange, purple, and greens. So hopefully I spin it to the right weight to what I need, or in the very least I can adjust the gauge to adapt to it. But that's my plan. Still absolutely loving spinning. An interesting thing, not this weekend, but the weekend after, I'm going to a natural dyeing workshop at Wave Fiber Mill in Parry Sound. So I'm excited to see how that will go. Maybe it'll give me ideas as to what I should plant in my garden. I do have a lot of undyed fiber now, so that could be something I can do with it. It being September and me being a professor, September brings in a lot of changes. Classes started yesterday. Today was my first class. There were some technological challenges, of course. I don't think I often get a first day of class that goes completely smoothly, so now I kind of expect it. Last year, I was locked out of my classroom. This year, I couldn't log into the computer and the projector was out of focus. Yeah. Anyways, it happens. It's fine. Whatever. We figured it out. But yeah, I feel like for a lot of us who our lives revolve around the academic year, September is almost like a bonus New Year's. It's like an opportunity for a fresh start. There's so much new, right? It's like a renewal of a cycle, and I find that exciting. It's like an opportunity to switch up your routine, and yeah. I tend to approach September with a lot of optimism. It did kind of sneak up on me, but it's going to be good, I think. Yeah. I have still been doing some reading. I had talked about Ru by Kim Thuy. I did finally finish it. Really, really lovely book. I also finished Reuniting with Strangers. I am blanking on the author's name right now, but it was on the long list for Canada Reads this year. And I really enjoyed the book. This is fiction, but it followed several people originally from the Philippines, or whose parents originated from the Philippines and came to Canada in all kinds of different ways. I kind of followed their experience. You know, sometimes there was difficulty due to loss of culture and strains in relationships, but then in others it was such a positive experience. So really kind of running the range of that immigrant experience, and kind of the pros and cons, the trade-offs that they have to deal with in this shift in their lives. And most of the people in the book ended up being connected in one way or another. Yeah. Highly, highly recommended. It was so, so good, and really gives a nice perspective on that immigrant experience. Yeah. I am still working on that book on cannibalism. I'm 7 chapters in now. I don't know why I remembered that, but maybe it's because I'm an anthropologist. I'm not quite as interested yet because we're not talking about humans. Like, it is still interesting, and it gives perspective to see cannibalism in the animal world. But I'm not quite as interested in the goings-ons of tadpoles as I am in humans. But it's still interesting nonetheless. Like the last chapter I read was on possible evidence of cannibalism in dinosaurs, and it is a very contentious and highly debated thing in the paleontological community. So that was kind of cool. And that paleontology kind of has its ties with archaeology. I'm hoping we'll get into some human stuff. I think we are. I think the next chapter is on auto-cannibalism. Yeah. I don't remember if I've mentioned, but I had written a paper on archaeological evidence of cannibalism in my master's. And I also kicked off a class that I used to teach in talking about cannibalism. So it is a topic that obviously is fascinating, right? We've got so many movies and whatnot that deal with it, but it's something I have a bit of background on, especially in terms of the anthropology and archaeology of it. So I'm always interested to seeing if there's more that's been done since I last went into that topic, but yeah. How many episodes am I going to talk about cannibalism? Obviously at least one more, because we're going to have whenever I finish this book. But yes, I have started another fiction book. I'm reading The Invasion of the Tierling, which is the second book in a trilogy. I had read the first book, oh my God, several years ago. And maybe I should have revisited the first book. Like, I'm only on the second chapter right now, and hopefully I'll get up to speed. But there's a couple of things where I'm a little bit lost. But anyways, I think the author is Erica Jacobson, if I'm remembering correctly. But it's kind of a fantasy-esque series. Yeah. But yes, I'm kind of getting situated, and the second chapter threw me for a loop. There was a part there where I thought, like, is this the right book? Anyways, I'll see how much reading I manage to get done now that we're back at classes again. It definitely switches the dynamic at work anyways. It's nice to get that renewed energy, and I enjoy teaching. I like working with students. I've got 2 undergrad students and 2 master's students that I'm working with this year. So that's a very different experience, and I'm eager for that. Yeah, everything just kind of comes alive at the university in September. So it's nice to have that energy. But that's probably all I have to say for now. By next month, I should be done my black bat. I should likely be done at least 1 pair of the Samhain Eve mittens. Maybe I'll touch my book shawl, who knows. But thank you for listening to my rambling, for taking interest in whatever I'm making. How is September going for you? Does the academic year impact you in any way? Do you enjoy this shift in season away from the summer months into the fall? What are you looking forward to in September? Let me know. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.